Hello Year 1, it's Miss Morgan here. I just wanted to say that I hope that you're all doing really well and that you're keeping up with your work at home. I hope you're enjoying our new Jack and the Beanstalk learning in English. I wanted to say well done to Abigail and Gloria in Clee class because they've been sending me all of their English work and I've been able to look at their beautiful writing and see that they're trying really hard at home. So remember, if you send your work to the Year 1 email, Miss Sadie and Miss Thurlow are also able to have a look at what you're doing. So today we're going to start writing Jack and the Beanstalk for ourselves, but we're only going to do the first half because it's quite a long story. And remember to use the words and, but, and so in our writing. Okay, so as I said, today we are going to be writing the first part of Jack and the Beanstalk. So just like we would do at school, can you write the long date, Thursday the 23rd of April 2020, and write your LI to retell a story. So pause the video to do that now. Okay, well done for doing that. So we'll retell the first part of our story using our story map. Now everything that's shown on this slide is how much we will write. So we stop when Jack gets to the castle. Okay, so let's start together. There once was a boy called Jack. He lived in a house with his mother. They were very poor and their most valuable possession was a cow. One day Jack's mother sent him to sell the cow at the market. On the way, Jack met a man who wanted to swap the cow for some magic beans. When Jack got home, his mother was very angry and threw the beans out of the window. The next morning, Jack woke up and saw a gigantic beanstalk growing in his garden. Jack decided to climb the beanstalk. The beanstalk was so tall that it went up into the sky and the clouds. When Jack got to the top of the beanstalk, he found a giant castle. Okay, remember on our story map where we've got these little dots, those are our full stops. Now, when we're doing our writing, we need to remember to use the words and, or, and but in our sentences. Oh, they're tiny words, but they're really important. Remember to use your finger spaces and full stops. Use your phonics mats that you should all have at home because that will help you with your spellings. And if you think, oh, I can't remember how to write that sound, you have a look at your phonics mat, maybe it will remind you. Remember to use the word bank for your spellings that you'll see later on in the video. And remember to use the story map if you forget what happens next. So here's an example that I wrote earlier. Once upon a time there was a boy called Jack. He lived in a house with his mum and a cow. They were very poor. One day Jack's mum told him to sell the cow. Jack was sad, but walked to the market. He met a man and swapped the cow for some beans. When Jack got home, his mum was not happy or excited. She was angry. She threw the beans out of the window. So I didn't write all of it, and you can carry it on later when you start your writing. But also, as you can see, I haven't made it exactly like the story map because when we're writing a story, we need to be creative and change it a little bit so that it can be our story. So earlier on the story map, we started with there once was a boy called Jack, but I decided to write once upon a time. And then I also decided to put in my and, but, and so. Okay, so that's our example. Now, if you are in Mrs. Coker or Miss Thurlow's phonics groups, pause the video to complete this activity. This is your activity for today. Once upon a time there was a boy, and then you can fill in the gaps. So once upon a time there was a boy called Jack. He lived with his, and then you can tell me. One day Jack's mum told him to. On the way he met. The next day Jack saw a something in his garden. Jack decided to, and at the top he found. So, what you've got to do is fill in the gaps to tell the first half of the story. Now that's only if you are in Mrs. Coker or Miss Thurlow's phonics group. And then you can also use this word mat to help with your spellings and remember your phonics mats. So this is for if you are in Mrs. Coker or Miss Thurlow, so pause the video to do your activity. If you are in anybody else's phonics group, carry on the video to find your activity. If you are in my phonics group, Miss Morgan's phonics group, this is your activity. Can you write the first half of the story with the word mat, with this word mat, and remember your phonics mats to help you. Now if you do get stuck with your sentence starters, you can go back to Mrs. Coker or Miss Thurlow's activity, but try your best before you use those to help you. So you can pause that now if you are in my phonics group. Now if you are in Miss Zadie or Miss Huth's phonics group, you need to write the first half of the story as well, but I would like you to add more adjectives to make it more interesting. So here I've given you an example. Once upon a time there was a boy called Jack. He was small and had short orange hair. He lived in an old white house with his mum and a little cute cow. So I've changed it a little bit to make it longer and more interesting and include more descriptive words. So I added, he was small and had short orange hair, so I'm describing what Jack looks like. He lived in an old white house, so now we know what his house looked like, with his mum and a cute little cow, so we also know what the cow looks like. So that's your activity if you are in Miss Zadie or Miss Huth's phonics groups. And remember, once you've finished writing the first half of your story, please send your work to the Year 1 email so that we can read your amazing stories. Remember to stop writing when Jack finds the giant's castle. We look forward to reading it and see you again tomorrow.